All right, good morning, everybody. I am Jason Garrapy, the Business Development Manager at Endecom Business IT Solutions. So we have an office right in Rocky Hill, but our company services all of Connecticut. I'm going to be doing a little bit of promoting today and a little bit of educating, and hopefully you can come away with some stuff you didn't know yet. So first of all, we're a managed services provider. So what that means is we help other companies with their IT infrastructure, other businesses. And so typically a typical customer is somebody who is going to pay us monthly to maintain, manage, and secure their IT infrastructure. So really anything technology related. We do security cameras, we do business telephones, we do Apple computers, we do PCs, Windows PCs, anything and everything, laptops. We work with solopreneurs. We work with companies that have as many as 250 seats. And like I said, we service everybody in the state of Connecticut. But what an MSP does, a variety of things. We obviously, one of the things we specialize in is advanced cybersecurity, much more than your typical IT company. So that's one thing we do, is protect our customers from any kind of cyber crime or cyber attacks. But we do a lot of other things. I mean, we do the small stuff. Your printer only works when it feels like it, and it may seem like a small problem, but it keeps happening. We can help with that. We can help with major projects where you're installing a firewall for the first time, or a big server, or you have a project. Maybe you're moving, you're opening up a new branch for your company, and you're moving to a new location. We can help with that as well. We do things like vendor management, and so let's say your QuickBooks isn't working. You don't want to spend an hour on the phone with them. We'll do it for you. We'll call them up and we'll say, hey, what's going on that you're not integrating with their system suddenly? Is it something on your end, or is it something on our client's end? We'll figure it out for you. Like everything here, we do upgrades. We look to see what's coming to end of life, any hardware you have that's coming to end of life, and we look to stop problems before they happen. So we like to be proactive, not just reactive. All right, we're gonna have some pop-up tips every once in a while. So pop-up tip number one that I want you to walk away with is, when in doubt, reset. So if you're having any kind of problem with your computer, your first thought should be just reset the computer. But understand, there's a difference between resetting and turning off. Turning off, shutting down your computer and then turning it back on, is not the same as resetting. When you reset a computer, you're clearing the RAM, you're allowing updates to happen, and you're essentially shaking it up and waking it up again. It's different than shutting down. And so when you have a problem, reset, and I'd say 80% of the time, it fixes most of the problems you're having. If you have a computer on for a really long time and you don't reset it, the RAM starts to sort of bleed out, and so your computer over time will get slower and slower, and updates aren't happening. And so you don't have, that's a security issue. You always want to be updating as soon as possible.
When you say reset, I'm thinking restart. Is that two different things, or is it the same thing?
No, it's the same thing. When you go to the Windows button, it will say restart. Yeah, restart actually is what it says.
Oh, okay. So
yeah.
what you're saying, so the restart is.
Yeah, don't just hold down the power button, shut it down, wait a few minutes, and then turn it back on. That's completely different.
Right.
That doesn't clear the RAM, and it doesn't
Right.
give pending updates a chance to update. So that's my first tip. A lot of people don't realize that. There's a difference between shutting down and resetting. So that's important. Okay. Who do you guys think is the number one cyber threat to your business? You can just call it out if you have any ideas.
And who was the number one threat?
Yeah, what person or entity is the number one threat to your business?
Probably your own employees.
Oh, Carl, first answer. That's right, your team. Your team is, believe it or not, the people you trust and rely on are the number one threat to your business. Why? Well, it's because a lot of times your team isn't trained, and so they're making little mistakes which turn into huge problems. They get an email, they click on a link that looks legitimate, boom, they've let cyber hackers into your system. You get things like, some things they'll do is like they'll bring a thumb drive from home that they don't realize is already infected, and they bring it to your company and they plug it into the company computer, boom, you've got a problem. You have an employee who is really upset and they're disgruntled and they want to get back to you, boom, you have a problem. So all these things. Another thing they do is Yeah, or another thing they'll do is they'll write down their password and they'll post it on a post-it note right on their monitor. That's an issue. The wrong person sees that password, they're gonna get in. You know?
Who does that?
So,
Which password?
so your team is your number one threat. Now there are other threats, but your team is one of the major ones you have to look out for. Then you have other threats. You have malware. This is small business exposure to cybersecurity breaches. So malware is an 18%. That makes up 18% of the threats to your business. Phishing is another one, 17%. Data breaches, website hacks, denial of service, and ransomware. So these are all very big deals. And these are things you have to look out for, even as a small business owner. Here's some surprising stats. The thing with small businesses is, because you're a small business, a lot of small business owners think, well, I don't have to worry about an attack. I'm small potatoes. What do they care about me? But the truth is, most hackers target small businesses because they have inadequate cybersecurity. And they know that because a small business guy isn't worried about, nobody's going to attack me. When in fact, they're actually targeted. More than 70% of attacks target small businesses. And almost 50% of small businesses have experienced a cyber attack of one kind or another. And this is a really alarming stat. As much as 60% of small and medium-sized businesses that experience a data breach go out of business after 6 months. Why is that? It's because by law, there's you have to notify everyone that was potentially affected by your attack. That's extremely costly. And then you might have to hire a forensic auditor, go into your computer systems to see what property was stolen from your computer or personal information, especially if you work in like financial services or medical field. And so this can be very costly enough that your business just won't recover. And so most guys aren't thinking about cybersecurity that much, but it's something business owners really have to start thinking about. Oh, and another one too is more than 75% of employees, this is going back to the threat, leave their computers unsecured. Tip number 2. If I depressed you enough yet, then consider therapy. Just kidding. But yeah, these are very sobering statistics. So I hate to preach all this gloom and doom, but here we go. The number 2 cybersecurity tip is a cybersecurity audit. This is something that a lot of IT companies do. It's something our company does. A cybersecurity audit is where we do a one-time deep dive into all your systems to look for any security gaps and to see if you've been breached already, because we can actually tell if maybe there's a virus already embedded in your computer. A lot of times what cyber criminals do is that they'll breach your system, they won't get noticed, they'll put something in there and decide, a month later we're going to attack, you know what I mean, or we're going to try and, they're very sophisticated. And so if you do a cybersecurity audit, we'll tell, okay, it looks like there's a problem here, or it looks like there's a program here that shouldn't be here. But we'll also tell things like, you have a program on your system that you're not using anymore, it hasn't been updated for a year, and now it can be exploited because there's no security updates on it. Things like that. Things like you have major gaps that need to be filled or you're going to get attacked most likely. And so it's very important to get on that. So that's my second tip. If you don't do a lot of these things, there's unfortunately consequences like the other stats we're talking about. And this chart just shows the most frequently encountered consequences of cyber attacks on small businesses. 30% is system downtime and reduced productivity. So you think about like a law firm, how much money are they losing per hour, every hour that their systems are down? That's a big deal for a lot of companies. And so that leads into lost revenue. Another big one is loss of customer trust. If you have to notify your customers, hey, we weren't that secure, and so your personal information was exposed, you have to notify them about that. Permanent loss of critical business data, especially if in some cases theft, like manufacturing companies have to worry about them stealing company secrets and that sort of thing. And regulatory fines and penalties, especially if you have to adhere to HIPAA and that sort of thing. So it's a lot of consequences out there for not doing it. But all is not lost. There is hope, and that's why our company deals with, and a lot of higher end IT companies deal with advanced cybersecurity. So what is advanced cybersecurity anyway? So we work on things like zero trust security models. And so there's software out there that will put on your system for a week, and it will study what people in your business generally do for that full week. What's normal? What are they normally doing? And then it saves it and remembers it. And then if anything weird happens outside of that realm of what your company normally does, like a program that's run that has nothing to do with your business, it will alert you and your team. It will alert us that something weird, strange, or out of the ordinary is going on. So that's zero trust security models. Cybersecurity audits. You don't even have to be a client of ours. We'll do a cybersecurity audit for you if you'd like us to. 24/7 monitoring with the help of AI. And so we're always monitoring your system, so if something does go awry, we'll catch it early before it becomes a bigger problem. Strict access controls deployed on your systems. So some companies don't have this, but you only want so many people to be able to have access to the important files on your system at your company. You don't want you and the secretary and the next guy and the next guy and the next guy to be able to just go in and out of there anytime you want. You want to have it locked down so only a couple people, maybe the owner and the vice president, have that password. And so you want controls in order. Another big thing we do is employee training. We were talking about how employees are your number one threat. If we train those employees to look out for suspicious looking links, to stay away from websites that have nothing to do with the business, to recognize when they're potentially being phished, that can be very helpful. Last but not least, we have a multi-layered security in software. So it's not just, we don't just throw it. The days of throwing antivirus program on your system and hoping that will do the job, those are long gone. Cyber attacks are absolutely insanely sophisticated now, and there's many, many of them. Some companies think that if you have cyber insurance, which, by the way, we highly recommend every company have, that it will solve all your problems. Oh, I got cyber insurance, I don't need to worry about security and that sort of thing. Problem is, cybersecurity won't solve all your problems. First of all, a lot of times you're not covered for everything. For instance, if your company's reputation is badly damaged, cybersecurity is not going to help you with that. You got to look out for it, especially nowadays since insurance is so strict around these kinds of things, if the data you provided was incorrect. Because it used to be the insurance companies would say, hey, are your systems protected? Oh yeah, they're protected, no problem. And they would just take you at your word and they cover you anyways. Nowadays, you have to fill out 3-4 pages or more of how locked down your system is. And if you lied to them or you were inaccurate, then they won't cover you when an incident actually happens. Like if you said, oh yeah, I have a firewall, it turns out you didn't, and that's why you got breached, they're not gonna help you. It also gives business owners a false sense of security. And it's getting to the point where when it comes to ransomware, insurance companies just aren't gonna pay anymore. They're tired of paying for ransomware, especially because people didn't have their systems locked down enough. And it's trending that way. They don't want to pay for it anymore. So if you have a company like ours or any sophisticated IT company, we can be your insurance. And so you don't have to worry about cybersecurity not covering everything. Cyber insurance not covering everything because you have advanced cybersecurity. And so we prevent problems before they happen. And if they do happen, we lock them down immediately. So you'll never have to worry about being down for days at a time, spending thousands of dollars, or God forbid, going out of business. Some of our differentiators at the company are customer service. I've been working there for 7 years. Our company's been in business for 20 years. We have 5 expert engineers who are techs, very well trained, have been there for years. But the owner, first and foremost, focuses on customer service. He's obsessed with customer service, and he wants, he treats everybody like a VIP, when the phone rings, we pick it up, period. And when we do pick it up, we don't tell you, oh, your printer's down, this system's down, we'll get back to you in a couple days. No, we answer the phone and we take care of you within 24 hours, no matter what the problem. If it's an emergency, we take care of it immediately. So our response time is there, and again, we have advanced cybersecurity. Tip number 3, practice responsible password hygiene. This is a big one. First of all, everybody knows the obvious ones. Don't, as I was talking about before, don't post your password. Don't write it down somewhere and post it on your monitor. Don't even write it down, period, and put it in your desk. Just don't write it down. Don't use the same password in more than one place, because if your password becomes compromised at, if you went to Lego's website for your kids and you put your password in, so you have an account there, and then you put that same password in for your bank, If the Lego one becomes compromised, your bank one is compromised, and that's a much bigger deal. So don't keep using the same password. Make sure your password's at least 6 to 8 characters. Change your password at least every 3 months. A lot of companies nowadays finally get it. A lot of corporate companies, and they're requiring you to do that anyway. But it's important you do that. And here's another good tip. So you say, how am I supposed to have all these different passwords and remember them all when I have all different ones in all these different systems when I can't use ones that are obvious? For instance, you want to remember your password, but you can't use your birthday. You want to remember your password, but you can't use your kid's name. So how the heck are you supposed to remember your password? Here's a great trick. What you do is you think of something you won't forget, then you use the first letter of every word in the sentence, and you have to include a number, but you pick something that you're going to remember. Here's an example. One guy had a password, and he used it off this line: why do I have 4 kids? Okay, so that was the line he used. Now, so what does that mean? So this is what his password ends up being: WDIH, the number 4, K, question mark. Why do I have 4 kids? Here's another one. I love having a big family. So ILHABF, and then you pick a number at the end. Maybe your family consists of 6 people. So it's I love having a big family, 6. And an exclamation point because you're excited about it. So there's your character, your number, and the password's long enough. So that's how you're going to remember a password without having to write it down. And another trick is if you want to get even more, if you want to remember even better, use something that's related to the site you're going to. Like, I'm happy about my bank, if it's your bank password. And if it's a password related to, I don't know, sports, like a sports team website or something, make a password that you're going to remember when it comes to sports. Something related to that. Okay. So, again, I'm Jason Garrapy at Endecom Business IT Solutions. If anybody in this room ever has any questions, please ask me. I'm not a tech myself. I'm actually the business development manager. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
What, do you have a lot of customers that are just, a one-person company? Or do you prefer to have like maybe 10 to 50 employees?
Oh, you mean as far as how many employees are at our clients?
Yeah, in other words, companies that you're looking to target. Are you looking for the onesies or the 10 to 20, the over 100, that kind of stuff? What's your ideal customer?
I mean, our sweet spot, even though, we do service all of Connecticut, our sweet spot is probably going to be any customer in Harford County that has between 10 to 50 employees. But however, that being said, we do have customers that are solopreneurs. So if it's just a guy on his laptop, but he's still worried about security, or he's still worried about having someone to fix his laptop, or person, it's just them in the business. We've had customers that have 250 seats. So,
Yeah.
But like I said, the sweet spot's usually going to be around 5 to 20, 5 to 50, 5 to 25, something around there. Sure.
It seems like your customers, like the services you provide your customers, are very specific and tailored to each one. So it seems like, if you have 10 customers, you're providing completely different support and levels of support to each of them. Could you just talk a little bit about how your pricing is with that? Is it like, do you just have like a set kind of tiered group of what you offer, or is it very specific to each customer?
Yeah, well, the pricing, we just started offering special pricing for like solopreneurs. So if it's just you by yourself, we don't feel like you're going to need the level of services as obviously as a person who has 25 employees. So we've really offered something significantly less expensive and much more basic, although there's still security there, of course. For bigger clients, what we do is we charge per seats, so per computer. So if you have 50 employees, but you only have 25 computers, 1 server and 1 firewall, that's what we're going to base it off of, is the server and the firewall, not just your number of computers. We might also be supporting your cell phones, that sort of thing. It's basically based on It's one charge if you have it's a certain charge depending on how many servers you have, how many firewalls you're gonna have, how many computers you have.
And do you said that you try to have like a monthly service. Do you do one-off projects?
We do. And we also have the gold plan, like a gold plan where it's all in and you pay a set price every month. And if you ever call us about any problem, we'll take care of it. You know, it's included in that price. As well as you're in our our advanced cybersecurity program. But then we also do one-offs. We do projects, and we do time and we can charge for time and materials if you just have, let's say, a computer. Maybe you have a laptop at your business that just won't work anymore, and you have a printer, but you don't really feel like you want month-to-month cybersecurity. We can still go in and help you. We'll just charge you time and materials. And we do projects too. Even if you already have an IT company, it doesn't mean we can't help you. Some companies have IT companies, but they're about to do a big project and they don't have the resources because they need those guys to focus on the day-to-day things. We can come in and do the project for you or help your existing IT guys. So, and other companies don't have great cybersecurity. They have IT guys, but know what they're doing with cybersecurity. We can come in and help that as well.